Hello and welcome everybody. It is 10:30 again on a Wednesday night, and tonight we are going to delve deep into Untold Chronicles Chapter 4 of The Dredges. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to see whether the tech is working as always. That is looking good to me. Some very quick hellos and thank yous. Before we crack on. As always, these Untold Chronicles late night games are only an hour and a half long, so we like to get going as soon as possible, really. So first of all, thank you and hello to everybody in chat. To Professor there for giving us a sub. 12-month streak. That is how long he's been with us. That is amazing. We really appreciate that. And don't forget that we're doing some interactive things with subscribers now, including tomorrow night, our subscriber only stream. The very first experimental welcome to my tables, where I chat all about my secrets. Enough of that though. Thank you to you in chat. Thank you to you if you are watching on video on demand or YouTube. Really appreciate you catching up with that as well. A big thank you to Hero Forge. Many of the character images are designed using Hero Forge, a wonderful way to create your own custom miniatures and get them 3D printed. You can find them at www.heroforge.com. Please note that anything mentioned on the stream may not represent the view or beliefs of Hero Forge, a Sky Castle Studios LLC product. Check them out. Discussed about them an awful lot. It's a great way of designing your characters, getting a real visceral look for them. You can buy the files, get them 3D printed yourself, or buy the miniatures from them. Then we want to say, of course, a big thank you to our players, because without our players, we wouldn't have a game. And we like to get them to introduce themselves a little bit now. So, hello, David. Who are you? And welcome.
I'm Jerry. Jeb's house on switching on Discord and playing David in tonight's game.
Welcome aboard, buddy. Then moving on, we have Clyde.
Hello, I'm Barry, and I'll be playing Clyde this evening.
Excellent stuff. And then Pectinus.
Hi, I'm Tom, and I'll be Pectinus.
Awesome. And last but not least, you'll get to hear him speak properly, and then it'll all go very weird for the rest of the session. DeFago.
Hell yeah. Hello. My name is actually Michael, and I have a bit broader vocabulary than DeFago. And I'm Michael the Grey in the chat. And yeah, I'm playing DeFago tonight.
Yeah, and DeFago, just in case people didn't understand that reference, is a Kanku, and Michael's done some very awesome sort of verbals for him. Okay, so, well, without further ado, we find ourselves, our protagonists, in the Dredges, a beautiful map here. They are currently finding themselves in Hope, the most southern of the Dredges. But they've encountered a number of predicaments. They've got themselves involved in a little bit of a murder mystery. The blacksmith of Hope has most definitely been murdered. His wife, now widow, has been accused of such. They've worked hard to uncover the fact that they believe the culprit is the stable master, and following his tracks, they seem to find that he has managed to get himself onto the estate of the kingpin of the town, the family known as the Boyds, hiding out in some kind of safe house, not wishing to put their hand into a hornet's nest and mix it up until the widow of the smith, Vala, was safe. They headed back into Hope. They managed to strike an accord with the marshal, coming to some kind of arrangement that they would stand in probation for her, and showing them the evidence that they'd already gathered, he seemed to agree. They escorted Verla back to the mission, where two, Pectinus and Dorvid, make their home, and they reunited her with her son. Whilst doing this, though, they realised they were being watched by an individual known as Albert Russell, a local ne'er-do-well and drunk and well-known flunky of the Boyds. And this is where we'll open our scene, as we have our heroes, our protagonists in the mission, deciding what their next move is and who they can trust, if anybody, in the entirety of Hope. So that's, as the camera pans down once again, it is up to you to decide what to do.
Hey, does anyone know this chap who's looking at the church?
Yeah. It's this old Albert. He's a local drunk, but he works for Boyd.
Mm.
So I think we can say Boyd's definitely involved now.
Yeah. Give me a moment.
Vala sort of pipes up. I mean, just you said you were going to head back to the smithy and sort of pick up a few items. Just grab whatever you can. We'll make the best of anything that you can bring to us. Obviously, don't get yourself into trouble. Don't get seen. We don't want to appear to be leaving. The marshal, no doubt, would enjoy wrangling up a posse to track us down. If not the marshal, certainly the deputies.
Does this mission have any communal wine or anything?
Give me a history roll.
Okay.
You don't think there's any wine of such, but you do know that the head of the mission, Reverend Taylor Raycroft, he's got a stash of quite rough whiskey that he offered you when you first arrived to warm your cockles, as he said it were. And you know he keeps some of that, and he calls it for medicinal purposes, but you know where that is. You can remember him offering you some of that. It's probably in his room.
We'll go and find a bottle.
Okay, as this is the mission, you go to his door and you try to open it, and it easily opens. He's not overly expecting anybody's going to steal from him. You head into his chamber. Give me either an investigation or a perception roll.
Perception.
You're going to need help with this. Do you want to do one or two things?
Andy?
Yeah. You're a halfling.
What?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Jesus.
Go.
I'm just curious with that. Is it? Can you just add
No, it says you must take
the
result of the
next one?
second roll.
Okay. Well, I mean that is 2 critical fails. I'm going to say something really bad happens as you kind of go into the mission, into his room. You desperately, because of this situation, looking around, you don't realize that actually the lump in bed is the Reverend himself. And as you begin to sort of desperately look into his cupboards, he kind of rolls over, bleary eyed, and goes, David, what the hell are you doing in my room?
Oh, Father, you'll have to please forgive me.
Why are you going through my
I'm
things?
I'm looking for some of that hooch that you gave us on the first night.
All right,
My cockles are a bit cold and they need
get
warming
the
up.
hell out of my room. We'll have words about this later. I was up all night. He doesn't seem to be best in the mood for talking at the moment. You can perhaps try and push this if you want.
Oh, should I?
It is up to you. You're the only one
What
in the room.
would I roll?
Well, you can try and persuade him that you're sorry. You can think of something else to do if you want to do a different role. If this fails, though, he's going to be mightily upset with you.
I'll leave it then.
Okay. So, cowed, you back out of his room.
I'll leave his door open as I leave.
Yep. Okay.
I don't bother closing it.
Okay.
Andy.
Yep.
Lads, I'm going to have a conversation with this fella.
Sorry, he was asking something.
Defargo's going to pat Clyde on the chest gently and say, "We're not getting any younger," and start heading out the door, presumably to go to the house to pick up stuff for our guests.
Yeah, we're supposed to be going and get some stuff for Verla and Elwood. Can I say that you don't do anything precipitous? I would say that at the moment we know about Albert, but Albert doesn't know that we know about him. So going and having a chat with him might just tip him off. And we don't know how many others there might be out there.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree with that, Clyde. Well put.
So shall Defargo and I head off towards the smithy, keeping our eyes open for anyone suspicious who isn't either of us?
Okay. I mean, that sounds very sensible. Are you trying to throw people off your tail? Obviously, as you leave, if you're going to leave through the front door, he is indeed going to see you leave. Are you going out the back or taking a different route, or
No,
are you going out?
Defargo's not.
I don't think it's unreasonable that we might be going to get them a change of clothes from the smithy. I don't think we want to be trying to throw them off at this point. If anything, it'll put him a little bit more at his ease if we're just going about our business with no indication we know he's there.
Perfect. So you leave, you head, and he kind of watches you. He watches where you sort of go, but he doesn't follow you, giving you the indication that maybe he's keeping an eye not just on you, but in particularly on the person on patrol. And you disappear from sight as you head towards the smithy. Now, David, you did say you were going out. Have the words of the others persuaded you not to?
Yeah, like when it's like leave it a minute, leave it till they've back. I think would have trusted his friend.
Okay, perfect. So
Yeah, I think.
yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, while everything is happening, I think Pectinus, the events of the day have caught up to him, and he is just sitting a bit zoned out. And I'm probably not going to be doing anything for the next hour or so. If that's
Okay.
I reach into my pocket and give Pectinus a lollipop.
Okay.
cool.
Okay, time passes. You get to the smithy. You've been given a key. You enter. It's untouched. There's nothing here that has been any more disturbed than the last time you were here. Are you simply going to gather these items ready for travel and the like?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so, but not an absurd amount. I don't think that might be a little bit obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and any clothes that might be sort of heavy clothes that we might get for them to travel in, that will go at the bottom of the bag, and other things at the top. So it looks like it's just things for people who are
Okay.
staying a few nights in a place they don't know.
Okay. Again, this is a simple action. You gather them as rapidly as you can, and enough stuff, better than nothing, basically. They've still got their clothes there in the house and various items. Do you only go for essentials?
If it looks
Well,
like a well-used toy, probably Defargo would probably look for something like that.
Okay. So you choose one or two sort of personal items as well, which is very nice. This doesn't take you very long, maybe about 30 minutes, and once you are done, are you heading straight back to the missionary?
yes, I think so. We're going to keep our eyes open to see if there's anybody else about who seems to be paying attention.
Okay, so as you go out, this is going to be a perception roll again. Yeah, you're kind of on high alert at the moment, and you manage to relatively easily kind of move around, and um, most people in the Dredges, in Hope, or any of the other ones, like to keep themselves to themselves, and most people have their hats on, their collars up, and their heads down. And no, it doesn't appear that currently you are the centre of attention. Although you do, as you cross the road back to the mission, see that on the porch, trying to stay out of the sleet that's coming down. He's still there. He's still watching, drinking from a silvered flask. He's still watching you. You get back to the mission and catch up with everybody else.
Defargo would pass the things that he's carrying on to the mother and child, and maybe pass the toys to the child.
Hmm He kind of perks up a bit and says, "Thank you." She looks at it. Oh, this is again. How can we thank you? Um, so, if I'm not being too forward, what's the plan? I mean, I don't want to get you into any more trouble. Me and Elwood will perhaps just make tracks. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
I don't think we could let you go on your own. I think that would not be sensible.
I guess. I mean, you gave your word to the marshal. He wouldn't be best pleased if we left and you stayed. Are you sure about this? I honestly, if you just look after Elwood, I'm happy to give myself in. it's probably the best
I think
solution to this.
I think the boy's already lost his father. I don't think he could do with losing his mother as well.
Hell yeah.
Definitely not.
Well, I have no idea how to repay this kindness of yours.
Pass it on to someone else.
I will indeed. So, if we're all going together, what's the plan?
This is a good question. What is the plan? It looks like there's only Elwood out there. We couldn't see anybody else. Not Elwood, Albert. Elwood's in here.
What are you doing outside?
Defargo shrugs, puts his hands together and cocks his head and makes a snoring noise.
Is that wait until everybody's asleep, or shall we go to sleep?
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Excellent.
I think we wait until people are asleep. I certainly would like some time to gather myself before we set off, but I don't think I need to sleep just yet. If we go by cover of night, we might have some chance of evading watchful eyes.
Our lodging is just above the church, isn't it?
It is just
Shall
above
we
the
go and
mission.
pack up some of our things then?
Yes, all right.
Yeah, it is easy enough to do. You can go and pack this up, but am I under the impression that you are not going to take a long rest, but in effect take advantage of this situation for a short rest instead?
How long
If
is it
that's
till
the
nightfall?
plan.
To nightfall, it is I'm just doing the maths. You've probably got maybe 2-3 hours till it becomes dark, but it gets dark here early. That'll take you to about 5 o'clock. So you could technically get a long rest now and set out under the cover of darkness itself. But once again, it is up to you.
That does sound like quite a good idea. If nothing else, it means that by the time we decide to leave, hopefully Albert will be very tired and maybe very drunk.
I will follow whatever you recommend.
I'm gonna take a long rest. I'm gonna take one in my own bed.
Before you go off to bed or wherever, Defargo will take a bit of leather from his pack, take it out, fold it so it's a triangle and put it on a table. He'll then nip out and grab some snow and put it over the top of this triangle and then look around expectantly.
You expecting bad weather, Defargo?
Hell yeah. He makes the snoring noise again and points inside the triangle, adding more snow on the top and pointing outside.
Sleeping in the wild?
Hell yeah.
It's not the first time I've done it, and I'm sure it won't be the last.
Andy, does Defargo seem surprised at the idea that people are sleeping outside in this area?
Yeah, I mean, It's possible. I mean, there are tribespeople that move around, but I mean, they are expert. They carry tents. It's still cold, very cold. It's
That's the key word, Andy, because I looked
yeah,
on my character sheet and I don't have a tent.
yeah. So, um, you know, sort of trying to sleep on the ground, trying to make a fire. It would be dangerous. It wouldn't necessarily be lethal, deadly, but it would sap your very strength if you weren't careful. And over a number of days of such a thing, you probably would end up dead without the right equipment.
Having hunted in the area, do we know of any caves in the vicinity? Or maybe shelters that woodsmen use?
Yeah, you are aware that there are some woodsmen's huts dotted around all of the forests. These are people that don't like civilization. They didn't want the protection, as it were, of other folk, and happy to take their chances living, within the woods themselves. Now, you don't know anybody in particular that would give you shelter. Um, but that said, I'm going to let the dice help tell the narrative here. So if you want to, any of you who think that you would know any of these woodsmen or other individuals, want to pitch a role to me, then please do. I can see both Clyde and DeFago potentially being able to do something like this. Okay, Clyde has rolled a 16. I'm not quite sure what skill that was for.
I wasn't sure what skill I was rolling, to be honest.
This is to do with your knowledge of maybe safer places within the woods to sort of sleep. So the things that I think of is maybe survival, or
Yeah.
maybe you are aware of somebody within the woods. So potentially even having that knowledge. So a history roll, for instance.
Yeah, I've travelled in the woods more than I've hunted in the woods, I think. So maybe a history roll to see if I can think of anybody I've stayed with before.
Yeah. Have you got a modifier on that 16 with history, or is it just a straight 16?
It would be +2,
Yeah.
as with the survival, in fact.
So an 18 is good, and this is something that you do frequently, so that lowers the DC as well. It's a fairly solid success, and you are aware of a strange individual. This is not someone that has travelled from the south or a tribes person. You hurt your leg once whilst travelling through the woods to the northeast of Hope, and it got steadily worse. You found yourself in a clearing, and you thought you were done for, but you were approached by a very strange individual. His name, or the tale around him, was Winter Grim. A strange individual. You believe he's some kind of fey folk. They do exist in these woods here, and he gave you both hospitality and shelter. You could see if you could find that place again. You know that he is most definitely not associated with any of the dredges, and therefore wouldn't have any ulterior motive in selling you out.
I'll pass this on and I'll say that I
Mhm.
think there might be someone who could help us. So at least we don't freeze to death. But that's literally within a day or so of town. We're not talking about getting to paradise here. So we need to decide what we're going to do.
So Andy, having sort of heard this really good idea of sort of the first step out, did Defargo's wanted to sort of mentally plan ahead a bit and
Yep.
try and work out how far in days travel, remembering that there'll be a child there as well and other people maybe they have very good things about them, but they are city folk.
Yep.
So they maybe won't be able to move as quickly as Clyde and Defargo. So if I could make a survival roll to sort of start, not in huge detail, but sort of planning out sort of how far they're going to be able to get and where they're going to need to be looking for places.
Yep. Give us a survivor roll, please, then. That teetered on a very high one. But again, a solid success. It's about 5 days travel from Hope to Paradise along the road. If you were going to head into the woods, then potentially longer, but without the chance of being followed. They might follow you in the woods, but it's far easier to lose people in the woods than it is along the road. You're probably looking about 7 days through the woods. The woods, again, it swings and roundabouts. It will give you shelter from the elements, but there are things there, not just wild animals. As Clyde has just spoken, there's Fey folk, and not all of them are perhaps as friendly as this Wintergrim. Some of them are darkly mischievous, other ones are, in fact, malevolent. They are dangerous places to travel, but it would certainly dissuade the Boyds or a posse from Hope following you.
Okay.
About how far away would it be from town to where I encountered Grim?
You could easily make it within a day's journey. That's into the forest as well. And it is going towards Paradise, so it's not like going in the opposite direction, which is why you thought of it. It would be quite a good first stop, and potentially you could, if you wanted to do anything else before you left Hope, leave Elwood and his mother in relatively safety.
Excellent. I presume the area of the forest within a day or so of town is the area that Defargo and I will know the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I will pass all of this on.
Andy.
Yep.
Uh, like for Favourwise, David is a Lotuston half thing. So it, like it was his background or his like sort of sorry, he came from sort of a like came from like a clan of like more sort of nature dwelling druidic halflings and whatnot. And as such, one of his languages is Sylvan.
Uh-huh.
Would he have heard anything about Wintergrim or maybe any of the sort of
Not
Fey
overly
folk in the
particularly.
book here?
You have interests. I mean, by all means, give us a history roll, and we'll see how much you.
Swear if this is another natural one. Not quite as bad.
No. You are aware that many of the Fey folk who live within the forest do indeed speak Sylvian. You would perhaps be able to help with that. you are aware that there are Fey folk here, but because you are relatively new to this area, you are not familiar with Wintergrim himself. A lot of these creatures tend to be quite reclusive, and it's a wonderment that Clyde actually got hospitality off one of them.
Okay.
But
Fair enough,
certainly you don't find his story strange, and it's quite curious that you might even would like to go and try and meet this individual.
Right. Say this Instagram offered you safety in a time of need.
Yes.
Did he ask for anything in return?
No.
Curious, and the Fey folk who I've dealt with have only done things for favours rather than gold.
Well, maybe that's how it works near the smoke. Maybe we should go and find him, and you can ask him yourself.
Yeah. And over a minute, I'll go and pick a few bags.
Okay,
And,
so the decision that you have fundamentally, and the points being raised by Defargo, is: do you wish to gather some tentage, and are you going to take a long rest before you set off?
Is there anywhere we could get tents from without obviously alerting Albert that that's what we're doing?
Yeah, well, you notice certainly that he was more fixated on Verla. So, provided she stays put and perhaps is visible occasionally within the missionary, his attention's there. So you could relatively easily purchase such equipment without it being too much of an issue.
Oh, I'm happy to wander off and do that if everybody else wants to get a bit of rest.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think I would like to sleep.
Equally, Defargo wanted to pick up some bits and pieces from his shack
Okay,
that will be useful for heading out.
so you can do that. Tents are 2 gold pieces each, and it will sleep 2 people, is that kind of tent. So it just depends on how many you wanted to purchase.
I'm thinking we'll have to go for 3 just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. Who's going to carry them and who's going to pay for them?
Defargo will look at Clyde and Razor. Do they even have eyebrows? I guess they must do. And make a sound of clanking coin and make to reach in his pocket.
How much were they, did you say?
They're 2 gold pieces each.
Okay.
Clyde will sigh and look in his purse.
Okay.
Pectinus will put 2 gold pieces into the mix.
Okay.
Oh, Defargo will add another 2 then.
Excellent stuff. So you can easily cross, in effect, those off. And I've put the tents now into the party sheet. So if you go to the party sheet, inventory, whoever's going to carry them can drag them across to their character sheets. I'll put 3 of them in there for you. Excellent stuff. I'm also... Sorry?
I was just saying I don't mind taking one.
Yeah, as I say, drag them across. I'm also going
How
to...
how
David, if you carry ours.
how large and bulky would 3 tents be?
They weigh 20 pounds each. It's described as a simple and portable canvas shelter. So 3 of them You can easily carry them.
I'm thinking more of maybe if we returned with 3 tents, that might be a little bit suspicious.
Uh-huh.
So I think maybe if we sort of, after we've been to Defargo's hut, we maybe sort of stash them a little way out of town and pick them up on the way out.
Certainly can be done. But for just simplicity's sake at the moment, if we just do that. So Defargo's carrying 2 and Dorvid's got 1. It's assumed that you have stashed them, so you're not giving the game away. A clever move. Defargo, you go back to your hut, your shack, your hovel, and you gather together the items that you want, and then you rest up. I've given you a long rest already, so you have healed, and you've gained all of your benefits from a long rest back. You wait, you rest as best as you can. As time passes, it's now just after midnight. You look out and you basically now see, sitting on the porch, he's still there. He's obviously very cold, though, a massive overcoat upon him, and the booze has got the better of him. He's been drinking all day, and he's now in effect passed out. He's going to be lucky to survive the night if he's not careful.
I think Bobby will put him in the recovery position.
He's not collapsed on the floor. He's sitting on a chair at the moment. If you go
Okay.
across and try and move him, you might well disturb him and he'll be brought back to consciousness. But that is your choice.
Okay.
He's at least underneath the porch, so he's not in the direct snow that is coming down.
Just so you know, Pectinus has changed out of his armor for this, at least the first stage of sneaking out of town.
Okay.
So he's sort of packed that into his bag, trying to muffle the clinking metal bits with blankets and clothes and the like.
Perfect.
Okay, so Bobby will take his mask off.
Okay. What does Dorvid's face look like underneath the mask?
He's, quite a nice looking chap, sort of clean shaven, bar, like really thick mutton chops, and sort of swept back, dirty blonde hair. He's there's like someone like this, like who's living this one off. He's got quite a sort of tanned complexion.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it. I mean, depending on what you're going to do, you can head out, you collect your tents. It's cold, it's snowing, but it is late, and the eyes the Boyds have put on you have obviously closed, lulled in and out of consciousness. You've probably got maybe 6 hours before anybody potentially realizes the problem. If you're lucky, maybe a few more hours added onto that as well. Assuming that you're going to stick to your plan, you quietly leave. The snow is going to rapidly cover your tracks, and you head out of Hope. Hope itself is dark, lit by the stars and the moon, nothing else. There's no street lights here, and by the time that you leave, most of the fires have burnt down and the candles have been extinguished. You look back wondering whether you are going to return or not, and then very rapidly leaving the road, you head off into the even scarier dark forest. The forests of the Dredges are a strange and eerie place. The trees are tall pine, close together, but there is no rhyme or reason to the way that they have grown. This isn't a managed forest, this is wild, very wild, and the trees cross over, some fallen, some taken advantage of the light from a fallen tree and have grown even taller. But it's the snow that falls upon the branches, consistently making the forest alive. Either snow falling to the ground or branches creaking and moaning underneath the weight that they carry. Sounds all around, all of the time. Of course, for Clyde and Defargo, you are well used to this. But it still makes you wonder whether the noise is just the weight of the snow, or some dark fey creature, or some beast, or some tribesperson hunting you down. Who's taking lead and going to give me a survivor roll as you make the first part of this journey?
Well, if Clyde knows where he's going, I'm happy to give him advantage on it.
Cool. Obviously, with having an idea of where you're going, you have lessened the DC. But the survival's not just for finding your way. It is much more about making sure that all of your companions are okay and wrapped up warm and are not going to slip or fall, etc. Unfortunately, Clyde has disconnected, disappeared into the forest, never to be seen again. That is what happens when the internet happens.
Lost. We should never have left the smoke Pectinus.
Fortunately, I can make the roll for the character. So we'll do a skill roll. We'll do it with advantage, and we will do survival. You want guidance as well?
On that.
Guidance is only going to last for a minute. This skill check is going on for substantially longer than the minute or the single skill check. This is an ongoing thing.
Okay.
It's a good job he had advantage. It's a good job he knows where he's going. As he guides you through the forest quite skillfully, minutes turn into hours and time passes. It's cold, but the adrenaline is still in all of your bodies with the escape of hope and the thought of possibly you being followed at some point, and this spurs everybody on. A good 3 or 4 hours into your journey deep into these forests. Can you give me perception rolls, please?
Okay. That's all proficient in it.
Sorry?
Defago knows what he's doing.
Yep, absolutely. I'm just going to call up Clyde as well. He's going to make a perception roll. Oh, very good. So, both Clyde and yourself, Defargo, makes perfect good narrative sense here as you're moving through. You rapidly, a good, as I say, 3-4 hours into the journey, begin to realize there is something very wrong. It is just not the weight of the snow. You are being hunted. and with your sharp eyes, you realise there's a small pack of wolves that are encircling you, kind of ensuring that you have no place to run. You both notice this. They're not going to get a surprise on you, but it's not going to be long before they are going to attempt to attack. Is there anything you want to say or warn people about, etc.?
Defago will make the sound of a trap crashing shut quietly and motion for, I can't remember the names, the mother and the child to get into the centre, and motion for the others to make an area around them so that they're in the centre.
Yeah, it's Elwood
Sorry,
is the...
sorry
Elwood.
about this, Andy. Can I have a quick recap? My internet just dropped out.
Yeah, no, it's fine. You've been making your way through the woods. It's all going okay, but you have just noticed that you're being stalked by a number of wolves. It's still dark. You're getting close now to your destination, but these wolves are going to catch up upon you before you reach
Andy,
there. Yeah.
could I use my druidcraft to try and sort of like kind of mimic what they're mimic the wolf sound?
They're not making any sound at the moment. They're stalking you, but you can certainly
Yeah,
use Druidcraft to do something like that if you want.
just to try and throw them off, or like sort of assert dominance.
Yeah. So let us see how this goes. I mean, these are skilled hunters. They are very hungry, and they are stalking you all.
That'd be a like deception or something.
Well, no, you've been told that they are there. I'm just sharing the map with you now. Let us have a look what Druidcraft can do for you. Let's call up this. So, whispering to the spirits of nature, you can create one of the following effects within range. You can create a tiny, harmless sensory effect that protects the weather, so that doesn't count. You instantly make a flower blossom. No, you create an instant but harmless sensory effect, such as falling leaves, a puff of wind, the sound of a small animal. It must fit in with a 5-foot cube, or you instantly light or snuff out a candle, a torch, or a small campfire. So, how, with one of those effects, do you want to utilize Druidcraft?
Just try and make the sound of like
A small
one of
animal.
these creatures,
Yeah.
animal to like maybe try and throw it off or distract them.
Okay. Give us
Like,
a...
there's something over there. Let's go and investigate that.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but you can certainly give it a try as you reach out and use your Druidcraft. Give me a deception roll, please.
Okay.
Yeah, you try your best. It's not ideally suited. It was worth a try. And with that, and with them circling you, they are intent on eating tonight. Can you give me initiative rolls, please?
Okay.
Very good. Okay. The wolves inspired are going to go first. Wolf number 2. which is this one here, is going to rapidly move to the closest 5, 10, 15, 20 and attempt to have a bite on you, Defargo, and misses you. We then move to wolf number 3, which is this one here. Is going to move forward and try and have a bite of you, Clyde. And miss. What is your armor class, Clyde? You might
Sorry,
be.
I was muted. It's
Yeah,
14.
that's okay. So that's not a critical miss. Then we move to Dorvid. You've tried to use your druid craft. It's not fully worked. You need something stronger and bigger. What would you like to do?
I'll get this lad. Wolf number 4. And I will roll the dead. His backside.
Okay. Make that saving throw. It does kind of doesn't like it, shakes its head, but it succeeds on the save and growls at you. And anything else you want to do on your turn?
Kind of move forward, hitting my shield with my mace, like trying to be scary.
Okay. Then we move to Pectinus.
Okay. I'm going to Sacred Flame Wolf next to Clyde, I think.
Yeah. So once again, just about meeting your DC as it dodges out of the way as you call down your holy flame upon it. Yes, unfortunately.
And then, assuming that we started off circled around
Yep.
Verla and Elwood, we said, so
Yep.
that means they're somewhere between myself, Clyde, and Defargo, so I will just move to put myself in front of Wolf 1.
Perfect. Then we move to wolf number 4. Wolf number 4 is just going to move forward at the moment and target you, Dorvid. Not getting any tactics, but that is a hit. What is your armor class, Dorvid?
18.
Yeah, so it's not a critical, but it does bite you for 7 damage, and it forces a strength save upon you, which you fail, and knocking you prone, dragging you to the ground. Yes, you are a halfling, so it's going to make you make another save, and you succeed. So you're not actually knocked prone using your halfling ability. Very nice. And then we move to Defago.
So Defago will draw a short sword, make a unpleasantly eerie sound that doesn't sound like anything that people have particularly heard before, and point his other hand towards the wolf in front of him and mark him for death.
Wow.
If he hits, and strike with a short sword.
Okay, go for it.
That's a 16.
That hits.
So I'm just going to apply Hunter's Mark and also switch on Favoured Foe and roll some damage.
Oh, very nice. Heavily damaging it, but not taking it out. Anything else you want to do?
No, that's it for him.
Okay, and then we move to Clyde.
Okay. Hey, can I move up next to the Fargo?
Yep.
I will draw my rapier and I will attack the same wolf,
Okay.
assuming I can. So
Do you want me to target him for you?
if you could, yes,
So you want to do the damage one, wolf number 2?
yes.
Perfect. So just roll to hit. Yeah, that is a hit.
I do have advantage, so is it worth me rolling the second one just in case?
Why do you have advantage?
Oh no, actually, I made that up. I don't have advantage.
This
I
is
can use I can use my sneak attack. That's not the same thing.
no. This is why a GM here can, and to all GMs out there, either experience. Sometimes it's best just to ask the question. Why exactly do you have this? No, sneak attack and advantage are two different things. They sometimes are very much intertwined, but you will have sneak attack against this, for you have an ally within 5 feet of him.
So my damage will be and
Uh,
plus an
yeah,
extra d6.
roll the extra d6. This thing is dead. It just doesn't know it yet, so roll a d6 and force it. You can just roll a d6 anyhow. There we go. And yeah, it now knows it is truly dead, as wolf number 2 is slain. Very nice. And then we move to wolf number 1. Not even had time, as Pectinus heroically puts his body in between the wolf and your escorts, and it attempts to bite, and it does indeed bite down. Is there anything that you can do about that, or are we?
No, that's fine.
And that could have been substantially worse. It is forcing you making a strength save though, and that is unfortunately, and it drags you down to the ground, standing over you. We move to wolf number 3. Wolf number 3. It's got blood now. It's not going to take advantage of tactics. It is just going to carry on trying to snap at you, Clyde. And it does hit. Is there anything anybody can do about that hit? I'm not anticipating it, but it's always nice to ask. It bites deep for 6 points of damage, making you make a strength save, and that is a failure. You two are dragged to the ground. It's not looking good. And we move to Dorvid, already badly injured. It is your go. Sorry, Dorvid, I'm finding audio a bit funny at the moment. Just say that again.
David's gonna watch this wolf's trying to bloody pull him down. David's gonna put his hand up to the wolf's to the wolf's side of the wolf's head and go enough and cast inflict wounds.
Okay, a powerful spell. And you do indeed hit this wolf. And you kill it outright. Do you want to? I mean, that is a powerful maneuver in a single shot. 13 points of necrotic damage. How would you like to do that?
Just like enough of this, and is like rather than like anything like any kind of necrotic like energy coming out of his hands or anything. He just puts it to the dog, and the dog just the wolf. The wolf just goes limp.
Okay. Gives out a yelp, collapses to the ground. Is there anything else you want to do, Dorvid?
I'm gonna observe Pectinus.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Wow. Just careful with your audio there. That was terrible. Okay. Awesome, David. We move to Pectinus.
Okay, Pectinus was probably about to do something, sees David run over and thinks better of it. And he's just going to throw up another sacred flame
Okay. Would
from
you?
the ground.
So you don't want to stand up?
I think he's going to use the sacred flame as a distraction and then stand up.
Okay. Go for it then. At the moment, you're targeting wolf number 1.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a distraction, but doesn't strike the wolf. You can use half your movement to
That's fine.
stand up, should you wish
Yeah.
to.
He will then stand up.
Okay. You are no
Just
longer
sort of
prone.
brace his shield.
Perfect. Then we move to Defargo.
So as a bonus action, Defargo will fix wolf number 3 with a look and a eldritchy howl, marking it for death and moving the hunter's mark on that.
Yep.
Let me just check that I've targeted. Yes. As a free action, he will drop the short sword near to where the Elwood is and draw his bow instead and shoot wolf number 3 with his longbow.
Okay. Yeah, you hit. That is going to be a critical hit with the new rules. So you can double all the dice that you would roll. Do you know how to do that?
I don't. I heard you explaining to other people before.
Okay, so if you go to your actions,
Yep.
you were using your longbow, is that right?
Yep. Yep.
So if you go to where it says your damage, and rather double click it, just single click it.
Yep.
Keep pressing down on the left mouse button, but drag the dice towards the chat.
Yep.
Then if you right click, you'll add an extra dice.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So that'll do your weapon damage. It won't necessarily double your D6 Hunter's Mark damage, but we'll come to that if you don't kill it outright anyway. So yeah, so you kill it. You would have actually done another D6 damage with you exceeding its armor class by 10 or more, as you indeed mark it for death and it dies. Nicely done. Anything else, Defargo?
Let's move. Let me just scroll that a bit. So Defargo can't see any of the others.
The only wolf left is here.
Yeah. So he will move 5, 10, 15, 20, and just make a whistling sound at Clyde so he knows that he's moving away from him.
Perfect. Then we move to Clyde. You are currently prone on the floor. Do you want to use half your movement to stand up?
Yes, I think I do.
Okay, so half your movement's taken to stand up, which is fine. You have the rest of your turn in front of you.
So, if I can drop my sword, I'll draw my bow. Can I move over to here and attempt to hide? And if I did, would I still have line of sight on the wolf?
Right, so you've got your cunning action. So there's plenty of foliage about. So fundamentally, anywhere over here, you could go out of line of sight of the wolf, absolutely, and attempt to hide as you kind of go into the foliage. I've already described it's thick wood, trees everywhere, snow coming down. So give me you probably, just because of my OCD, it probably would have to be there. Mechanically, you can easily do
Fair
it.
enough.
Doesn't really matter. It's just my OCD of sticking you in a place that has cover. So yeah, so as your cunning action, you can hide. Give us a stealth roll. Oh, that is a 14. Now these wolves, see, they've got keen hearing and smell, which probably means they have advantage. I'm going to say because they have sharp, I'm going to let them make a roll. You technically beat the passive perception by 1, but I'm going to let it make a roll. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's kind of aware of you, but you still get to do your attack, just not with advantage, and you still will get your sneak attack because there are allies around.
Fair enough. So let's attempt to hit him. Where are we?
I can smell your blood. So you hit anyway, which is very cool. So that's that, but you get your sneak attack, so you get to roll another d6. So that is 9 points of damage. I don't know why you're not targeting it, that's why. But yeah, it's still up, only just though. Heavily damaged. Heavily damaged. Thank you very much for gifting a sub to Nightshades, you lucky person. But with that, wolf number 1 is going to finish his job. It is starving in these woods, and it is going to make an attack, and it is going to fail. What is your armor class, Pectinus? 13.
13 at
Yeah.
the moment, I believe.
So that's not a critical miss, so nothing bad happens to the wolf, and we move back to the top and Dorvid. There we go.
I'm just gonna smack him with my mace.
Yep. You do indeed hit. And it's enough as you take it down, even with the 1 on the dice. Not hugely powerful creatures. Very rapidly, less than 30 seconds, as they leapt towards you, attempted to rip your throats out. You protected your wards and have taken them down. Some of you damaged, though, showing you how dangerous these woods are. The good news is, Clyde, is you are very close now to where you want to be.
He probably wouldn't recognise me if I wasn't wounded anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing. As you move forward, you see that there is the ancient trail of stones here, and you see there is these stones here seem to form a very old ancient stone circle, and in the center there is this key point, this standing stone, and as far as you remember, around the other side there is a burrow of sorts, almost a hole leading down below ground where this individual makes his home. How would you like to approach?
Can I move forward and call his name?
Yeah, absolutely. You're all out of
From-
initiative now, so all is good. however you want to do it.
I'll shout, Grim, Grim, are you there? We're friends. It's Clyde, if you remember me. You know, the one who hurts his leg a lot.
Moving around, you see this old figure. I heard the baying of wolves and the smell of blood. You seem to have injured yourselves. You have
Yeah,
brought others this time.
yes, sadly, I would like to request your help again. The woman and her child are being hunted by the people from Hope for a crime they didn't commit, a crime that was committed by some undead creature.
To the others, you kind of move forward a little and you see that this squat creature is covered in furs, making it almost as wide as it's tall. There's a large nose that pokes through the furs, but there is a gentle shine in its eyes, and this is what it looks like. Just so you've got a picture of Wintergrim.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Cool.
It is okay. Your friends are my friends. You showed me great respect, and you did not break the tenets of hospitality. I'm assuming your companions will do likewise.
We will do our best.
Thank you for your hospitality.
I guess
Hell
that
yeah.
Thank you for welcoming us.
it is about the best that I can do. Come, I have stew on the fire, and it is late or early, depending on whether you are upside down or not. Come into my home and tell me of your woes and this terrible accusations. And he kind of leads you into this structure here. As you are led in, it's very homely, very, very homely. It is a slightly larger space than you anticipated it be, sort of dug out beneath this large standing stone. The furniture made from local resources, covered in furs and hides. It looks like everything here has been found and made from local resources. He has a large cauldron on a small stove, and within it are all sorts of tubers and berries and the like. It's a large, thick broth, and it smells delightful. So, are people hungry?
Just
Hell
a
yeah.
decent grub I've had. That smells amazing.
Ah,
Just a decent grub I've had, Topia.
he spoons it out into wooden bowls and distributes it evenly. There's always more that can be foraged. You do notice, without rolls, that there is no meat in there. It is all, as I say, root vegetables and berries. But it does indeed taste very nice. So, travelling through, you all look like you have been in the walls. I heard some howling a distance away. It is a shame the wolves do not really understand. The hunger gets the better of them.
Uh, I'm sure Sure, I won't take it personally.
So,
I'm
Sure.
bandaging my arm, and I'll say, well, I'm taking.
sorry, you cut out there. You were bandaging your arm.
Yes, and I said I'm taking it a little bit personally.
I understand, but even in life and death situations, sometimes you can tell whether there is malice or not. And I shall look, if it is okay with you once you have left, to harvest their pelts, for it is better that they are put to use rather than rot.
And nudge DeFago and say, looks like you got a bit of competition in the old trapper game, eh?
DeFago just looks.
I think Pectinus, on the topic of the wolves' motives, pats his stomach and says, I think if I were a wolf, I'd try to eat me too."
So, my name is Wintergrim. Well met. I rescued this fella. He was about to be frozen to a log. His leg badly wounded. I nursed him back to life. Although he says it was just but a flesh wound. I know better.
Oh, I still think I could have walked it off.
Yes. So, he owes me his life, he does. He smiles. So, you mentioned troubles. I do not like the folk that gather close together. The smell is bad.
DeFago waves his hand at our kind host, rummages in the bag, and pulls out the remaining evidence that we have, because we handed over one of the skins but not the other.
So this is, just so that we're on the same page, the husk skin,
Yes,
the
the husk
flayed
skin.
undead. He kind of backs off a little and wrinkles his nose. Terrible things. A dead that walk. It is unnatural, it is. You say these stalk the city, the place, settlement.
We found this in the loft of the stable masters.
Terrible times. I must say I am perhaps not entirely surprised, for where mortals gather, darkness falls. They bring it upon themselves. There are examples of good light, but there is also darkness there too. So, how may I be of assistance to you? Is it just food for your stomach and a bed for the night, or do you require more?
I'll take the alabaster mask out and say, do you know anything about this, Wintergrim?
Only the obvious. It is a mask, and masks are used to hide. Whoever wears this is up to no good.
We
Beyond.
believe the wearer of this conjured these undead creatures, and one of them killed the father of this young boy here. They are now trying to accuse our good lady of of that murder as a way of covering their tracks, and we were hoping you might help shelter them while we try and put a stop to this undead menace. Or if not that, at least aid us as we make our way to safer passages.
Ah, either. A good cause. I am so sorry for your loss, both of you. Whatever you wish. But if you want answers for the mask and this skin is tied together somewhat, then it is not here that you should be looking or asking. It is back, hence where you came from.
See, that's what I told them, Grim.
If you wish to ignore it, though, then so be it. But if you wish to ignore it, do not travel further away and ask more and more questions when the answers lie behind you.
I'll look behind us.
He shrugs. Rest up for the while. Eat up, and it is up to you to decide what you wish to do. To go forward or back. Sometimes the obvious answer, or perhaps the one that you really wish to do, is not necessarily the right answer. As for shelter, these two lovelies can stay with me for as long as they like. I'll ensure that they are safe and no one bothers us.
I roll an insight on that.
Absolutely. He, of course, is going to see whether you are inciting him. He's telling the truth.
Okay.
He
Yeah, I'll say to
fortunately
him.
doesn't notice you looking questioningly at him, looking for his body language and studying to see whether he's spinning you a tale or a lie, which is, to be honest, good. Because to not trust the word of a host that has gave you hospitality could be dangerous indeed. You were going to say, David?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, get a minute, like during the, like, we're resting up and like finishing the dinner and whatnot. I'll sort of say to him, in sort of private in Sylvan, the following.
He kind of nods and smiles. He tends to smile with his eyes because it's quite difficult to see his mouth. And he says, well, it sounds like your path is back the way you came. And with that, we will leave this chapter and bring it to a close. You have at least reached a place of safety where you can once again plan on whether forward or back is the route to go. Thank you very much, players. Hope you enjoyed that, and thank you very much for hanging out in chat as well. Really appreciate you sticking with us, and thank you very much for all of the subs tonight. Once again, really appreciate it. Tomorrow night, just as a reminder, 10:30 to midnight, I'm going to be doing the very first Welcome to My Table, where I've got a few things I want to talk about of how I am inspired to run the way the games that I run. It is only a subscriber only stream, but it will become available on VOD and YouTube after a while, so it's just exclusive tomorrow night. So please join me, and you'll see how I run some of my games and my thought processes, but you'll also have the opportunity to ask me about them as well. I'm very much excited by it. In the meantime, stay safe, everybody. Thank you very much again, and I will catch you one way or the other very soon.